Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Lara May, a clinical pharmacist specializing in functional medicine, as well as a certified yoga teacher and Reiki master. I run a truly integrative health coaching practice encompassing functional medicine lab testing, yoga and meditation, and a sprinkling of Reiki energy medicine. Join me here on Light Body Radio to break through your health plateau and come into alignment with your natural vitality. Hello and welcome to Light Body Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Lara May, and today I am here with Natalie Bedard, also known as NatNat, and her platform Lift OneSelf. And she is a beacon of resilience and empowerment. And in 2019, she founded Lift OneSelf, offering profound energy healing services. Despite grappling with life-threatening illness and single parenthood to 3 boys, Natalie is a steadfast mentor on the journey of self-discovery and healing. With her profound understanding of the nervous system, she specializes in unraveling emotional blockages and reigniting intuitive connections. Natalie's trauma competent approach is truly transformative. She guides individuals to embrace their fullest potential through small, actionable steps towards growth and transformation. It's all about empowering people to navigate their healing journey with compassion, resilience, and deep understanding of their unique experiences. I couldn't agree more. So, with safety and radical honesty, these are also part of her pillars of unlocking the keys to this mystery of which our human life is, isn't it? So, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. And what a beautiful introduction. I have to hire you so you can do it more often. Thank you so much for having me as a guest. And I'm looking forward to the playful conversation we're going to get into.
Yes, yes. So we spoke a little bit before we started recording
Yes,
about doing a quick guided meditation. So we're going to start with that today.
yes. And for your listeners, it's always about safety. So a lot of times people are listening to a podcast while driving or needing their visual. Please do not close your eyes. I want you to be safe and everybody around you to be safe. The other prompts I'm going to guide you into, it can bring you into a deep relaxation. So again, safety. If you're feeling too relaxed, just fast forward into our conversation. And when you have time, come back to this mindful moment so that you can take a breath and ground yourself into your body. So, Dr. Laura May, I'm going to ask you to get comfortable in your seating and you're going to gently close your eyes. And you're going to begin breathing in and out through your nose. And you're going to bring your awareness to watching your breath go in and out through your nose. You're not going to try and control your breath. You're just going to be aware of its rhythm and keeping your awareness on watching your breath go in and out. There may be some sensations or feelings coming up in the body. Let them come up. You're safe to feel. You're safe to let go. Surrender the need to control. Release the need to resist and just be. Be with your breath. Drop into your body. Keeping your awareness on your breath. There may be some thoughts or memories that came up. Just gently bring your awareness back to your breath. Just keep your awareness on your breath, allowing yourself to see that I can focus on my breath and not be in those thoughts. It can be challenging, yet it's just always bringing the awareness back to your breath and dropping deeper into your body. Continue staying with your breath. Now, while still staying with your breath at your own time and at your own pace, you're going to gently open your eyes while still staying with your breath. How does that feel?
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. We can tend to forget to take these mindful moments for ourselves, especially with transitions. We can talk about it, especially a lot of practitioners of health or those that help children. And we talk about the transitions and how difficult it can be for children to go into those transitional states. And we forget that we're still those little children and we need to actually apply those tools for ourselves.
Yes, and, what a wonderful self-awareness and also self-care practice just to allow that pause. Again, you guys, that was just 2 minutes, and I don't know about you, but I feel good and present with, being here now and, being in this body, and so I think that's really important too. There's so much of our lives that I feel like we're checking out, especially lately in this day and age, using different things to check out, but, even use our own spiritual practices to check out too. So, it's important to just, be aware and honest ourselves about who we are and meet that with grace and love and say, okay, it's all right, just to come back.
Exactly. There's times where you do have to check out because it's just too overwhelming with the nervous system. So it's going to get
Mhm.
dysregulated. You are going to, disassociate from your body. It's recognizing, wait, this isn't the space that is home. And so really cultivating those tools to bring yourself back to help with that regulation. Because a healthy nervous system is about dysregulating and regulating back. Like a healthy
Mhm.
nervous system has fear. It's learning how to interact with that fear. Yet most times we try to run away from it and it just builds up more and more and more. And then the anxiety ramps up rather than face it and feel what are these authentic emotions that are coming up? What am I feeling in my body that I'm not willing to listen to those messages?
Mhm. Yeah, the old saying of what we resist
Correct.
if it isn't quite apparent, what we're gonna be talking about today is radical honesty with ourselves and what healing really looks like. And of course, that can be different for everyone, I would imagine. If you're really taking a personal and unique view to your healing journey, I would hope that it would be unique and different and not look like someone else's healing journey. But, I think, we get wrapped up also in, following our teachers or our mentors on social media, and sort of identifying or comparing our journey to other people's and say, "Oh, well, if mine doesn't look like that, maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I'm not doing this healing thing the right way, quote unquote." So, there is no right way or wrong way. It just is, and I think it's important, again, for us to provide ourselves that space and grace. And I love in your bio, the phrase trauma competent approach. Can you tell us more about what that looks like from your perspective and your practice?
I understand the nervous system because I had lesions in my brainstem and cerebellum. So I almost died 10 years ago because of these lesions. The body completely almost shut down. And so I got to see from building right back up because I had to, string thoughts together to create action. I had to learn how to walk again and navigate, and then feeling these chemical dumps whenever I felt fear or anger or any kind of thing. So I really got to understand like the cortisol dumps and the adrenaline in real time. I would feel these things. And it's like, well, that's what they're talking about, these chemical releases that go on. So, you know, by doing that, it allowed me to better understand the safety of the nervous system and what it needs. Because the nervous system is always here as a sense of protection. It may do some things that are harmful or toxic towards yourself. Yet it's always remembering, okay, it's protection. So what is it afraid of that it's trying to protect you from? And a lot of times it's our authentic emotions. It's being able to face the pain. It's being able to dissolve some of the belief systems that have been instilled in us that we think we need to show up a certain way, where now we're like, oh, wait, we have a different possibility. And to be able to do that, you need to be tethered to your curiosity, because
Mm-hmm.
curiosity brings you into the unknown and the uncertainty and see what is possible. And, feeling what is going on in our bodies, we're not really taught those tools. We're taught more to numb, like you said, and run away,
Mm-hmm.
or, be successful and keep pushing through it and just keep swallowing and keep dumping within yourself. And then at a certain point, your body's like, no more.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, how do I face this? And how do I validate my own experience? Because truth is there's an absolute truth. The sun comes up, there's gravity, yet truth in its own essence is always evolving, because there's so many different layers that we get to one part and then we recognize, oh, there's a little bit more depth to this. And we have been taught more that we're not good enough and we don't know what our experience is. So we're told not to feel this way, not to feel that way. And so there becomes this separation with not trusting yourself. So it takes a space of validating. And just because you're feeling emotions, it doesn't mean that you allow it to take the driver's seat in whatever actions you're going to take. It's actually just listening to the messages and feeling, not rationalizing or intellectualizing or pathologizing. It's like, what am I actually feeling? And let me feel some context into this. Let me see the bigger picture and not just this limited scope of it.
Right, and even allowing yourself to feel those uncomfortable emotions in a safe place, because, I mean, just by the nature that we've labeled some emotions as negative, they're not negative in and of themselves. They're negative because of, again, the lens and the context we've placed on them by our definitions, and maybe or by how they feel in our bodies when we feel them. And usually when we're feeling them, we're not in a safe place. And then by, again, that survival instinct, our brain, our body doing what it's meant to, protecting us. So we go into shutdown mode, usually, fight or flight. And then when we're represented with this emotion, that's what we remember both in our body and with our human memory. And so then we're in this cycle. So yeah, I love that. It sounds like this whole process is sort of unlearning that, unraveling that, providing a safe place to experience emotions, so that you can process them, and sort of, breaking this cycle that we find ourselves in.
It's actually facing the nervous system. The nervous system has one function: don't die. That's our
Mhm.
humanness, that's our body. And if other people are spiritual, they understand, like, well, I'm not this body. I know I'm this energy and this presence, this consciousness that goes beyond that. Yet the nervous system has one function. And the not dying, it's based out of negative biases. So these emotions that feel negative are really in the activation of the nervous system, that it is subjective and it's like, this is a threat. So when you're feeling anger, we understand, if learn more, that it's a bodyguard, and it's a bodyguard of most times sadness, and then really the base of fear. And the fear is attached to your vulnerability. And a lot of times we haven't been harmed in our vulnerability. So it doesn't feel safe to be in that vulnerability. So these defense mechanisms come up and they feel very negative and dark, because it's in the activation of the nervous system. Yet when you start providing safety for the nervous system, it starts to unlock those defense mechanisms. And it's like, oh, we can be vulnerable. We can feel these authentic emotions and not the secondary ones or the mask or perceptions. And it's like, yeah. And like you said, it requires a safe, sacred space to be messy in that, because it's going to be messy, because you've never interacted with this energy in your body. So it's very overloading and it needs expression. Like, I tell people, befriend fear and befriend anger and befriend your anxiety. And they're like, what? Those are awful things. And we're told not to be around those things. And it's like,
Mhm.
it's your biology. It's trying to give you some signals and messages. And if you're not facing it and honoring it, you're not getting to the undercurrents. It's not what's projected right at the beginning. It's the underpinnings. It's the undercurrent that you want to get to, that you haven't been able to flow in there, to allow a space to feel that.
Mhm. Yes. Yes, yes. So, it's interesting. I'm sure it's different for everyone, but have you seen a theme in terms of what brings people to this point of finally choosing something different for themselves when faced with these emotions, or when, maybe they recognize a cycle or behavioral pattern and they're like, no more. I just literally can't keep doing this either to myself or within the relationship, or tell me about what you've seen throughout your work.
Pain. It's always pain. Pain is the portal. And we have such an aversion to pain that we have all these medications and other substances to keep us away from the pain. And I get that, like, it has a certain degree, yet we haven't been empowered to face the pain, the psychological,
Mhm.
the emotional, the physical pain. Ask the body, what is it, the signal that we understand now more that pain is very subjective and a lot of it can be very psychological. Yet to tell
Mhm.
somebody they're not in pain of what they're feeling is very harmful. It's
Yeah,
like,
totally gaslighting. Yeah.
yeah, it's like asking yourself, okay, well, what is the pain trying to signal to you? Well, it hurts. I understand that. Now go a little bit deeper. What is the hurt saying? Where is it? Interact with it. No, I don't want to. I just want to get rid of this. Well, you're trying to get rid of the symptom rather than get to the root. And it requires you to face and traverse and see the pain, go through that portal and that door. And some people, it just becomes too dense that, it pivots them. They just can't
Mhm.
bear it anymore. So it's that pain of portal. And when we avoid pain, we create all this suffering. And then we try to run away from it, only to see you end up right back at the same position. Like, years have
Right.
may have passed by, but we know internally there's this spiral, and here we come again. Like, I thought I got rid of this experience. I thought I learned, and why energetically are the people changed, but energetically it still feels the same way. Well, it's like, have you gone through the pain of the portal? And sometimes the pain of the portal is being radically honest with ourselves and facing ourselves, accepting ourselves for who we are and not the persona or the mask that we have been creating to feel a sense of acceptance and belonging in the outside world. I understand that you said, like, giving ourselves a space to do it. It's also giving yourself permission. A lot of people forget that
Mhm.
they are the ones to give themselves permission, but they look for it on the outside, myself included. I've done this work, yet I still catch myself, oh, there you go, trying to get the validation, looking for that permission on the outside, where it's like, you got to do that for you, Nat. But it's
Yeah.
insidious. And that's why it's called inner work, and it's a journey. And that's why it's called radical compassion, because when we forget to use the tools, we can be pretty harsh with ourselves and, oh, you should have known better. Where it's like, no, no, bring laughter, bring lightness to this, because our nervous system is very intelligent. It's very intelligent, very insidious, yet it's always, is there safety for it to dismantle, like, to bring down the defense mechanism? Are you having some radical honesty? And then, are you feeling? That's why I start with when people interact and I get clients, it's like, okay, we're going to start doing these breathing exercises to come into your body so you can start feeling and start giving some validation expression. It's like, oh, I feel this. Okay, go a little bit deeper. And that they have a safety that, okay, I'm not left alone with this. Because a lot of times when we were
Mhm.
young, we were left alone with these big emotions and we had no idea how to process this. And we needed another nervous system to co regulate, because we don't know how
Mhm.
to regulate and soothe ourselves to bring down the dysregulation. So that's where I say the competent, where I understand, like, you could be trauma informed, yet are you holding the space to witness the pain in others without telling them it should be something different, allowing
Right.
them to find their journey and their tools.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, that's so true. I'm really hoping that with all this awakening and understanding that we're having in this generation, that that's getting passed on to the new generation, and we're not screwing them up as much as I feel like we're like screwed up in the most beautiful, messy way possible. That
Yeah.
like giving the next generation more tools than we had for ourselves is my
Well,
hope.
the big thing that's happening right now is, like, this world that I'm in and the world that I grew up in are two different worlds.
Oh, for sure.
Technology
Yeah.
has changed things totally, and we are more disassociated from our bodies now than ever before, because technology makes it easy not to have to feel it. It'll distract you from
Mhm.
actually being in your body. You're in your head. So it really takes the discipline to, you know, fight the addiction, because we understand technology impacts our dopamine receptors and we want to feel good. Yet, really starting to change the narrative, like, you're going to have to feel the discomfort to get back into your empowerment and your power, to better understand, are you an autopilot of your car, or are you actually driving it manually?
Mhm.
And so better understanding this, yet not beating yourself up, because this is an industry that wants your attention. So we really have to take the discipline of, what is it that I want for myself, and building the life that we want, rather than what's being sold and told to us all the time, which is
Mhm.
warrior work.
Right.
It's really
And
radical.
yeah, and figuring out that healthy balance between checking out and checking in. Like,
Yeah,
even maybe even redefining the term checking out, because when we quote check out, maybe that really is checking in, and we're
yeah.
tuning back in because we're checking out of the socials and the news and all the BS and the chaos that's out there that's
I
constantly
call it fear
bombarding us.
porn. Well, I call it fear
Mhm.
porn. It
Mhm.
gets you activated. There's nothing you can do with it, though.
Yeah.
It's like you're rocking in a rocking chair. I'm doing movement, but I'm not getting anywhere. That's what the news does. It activates your nervous system in the fight or flight, and then there's no real action you can take unless it's right in your direct experience. But most of us, we're hearing about things that are, how many thousand miles away from us. And then it's like, well, I got to do something about this. Like, I feel helpless. And feeling helpless is the worst thing. The nervous system doesn't want you to feel that, unless you start to co-regulate, to allow yourself to recognize it's okay to feel this signal. It's
Mhm.
okay to feel this intense of not having any control and not being able to take any action. But that takes, a practice and a discipline to engage with your biology with that, and give it
Mhm.
language. Like, "Oh shit, I'm feeling," excuse my language.
Oh, no, feel free.
Uh, I'm feeling helpless, and it's debilitating, and I don't like this feeling. So it's like, okay, you know that there is this feeling, so what can you do that will be reciprocal with the energy? Rather than you trying to offload or project it somewhere, where can I fill it, where I can take some actions that would make me, you know, regulate my nervous system, so
Mhm.
that I be here in my moment, and not so much in the helplessness of my thoughts of not being able to take action to help somebody else, or be angry or frustrated that people are being taken advantage of or whatnot. That is always in, I asked, like, I came out of news a long time ago. That was part of my practice. And the fresh air that you feel within your system, yet you see the palpable of people having to know all this. And I'm like, I'll ask, because I had to ask myself, how is that helping you? Well, I need to know why. Who told you that?
Yeah.
Well, you have to. It's like, but who told you that? What is it doing for your life? Well, I know. Okay, but what are you doing with that knowing? There's a thing of consuming too much and not being able to create.
Mm-hmm.
It gets us in this, the freeze or the fawning
Mm-hmm.
of our nervous system. And to come out of that, you're like, oh my gosh, let me do these actions. And then you come to wake up and you're like, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Well, you weren't interacting with your nervous system to face it and say, what is it that we need as our soothing? What is it that
Right.
we're intaking that isn't healthy for us anymore?
Absolutely. If it's
But if
keeping your fight or flight turned on, that is not serving you in any way, shape, or form, or the
and
people that you're concerned about a million miles away.
yeah, because we're feeling bodies that think. Anxiety is
Mhm.
very contagious.
Mhm.
Be around
Fear,
anybody that's
anxiety,
with fear,
absolutely, yeah. Yep.
you know, and fear is healthy. Like our nervous system has healthy fear. Like you need it to live in this world. Like you can feel your senses of almost all of a sudden there might be a car or there was a wind or a dog coming. Like it's going to activate the adrenaline for you to do something with it. Yet a lot of our fear that's getting activated is just psychological.
Mhm.
And we're told that we're not good enough and we don't have the answers, so keep seeking, and we have it where it just keeps perpetuating you into like the donkey with the carrot. I'm going to keep running but I'll never arrive to this place, but I'm
Mhm.
going to lure you to think there's this arrival, like get the career, get the house, get this, get that, and then you get all that, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, so I'm here, where's this arrival of safety and security? And it's like it's never there. But I did all this that you told me, and I would get this treasure box of security and safety. And it's like, life is impermanent. It's always going to be changing. And it's how are you going to ride the waves of that? But we're not taught that. We're taught check off the boxes and you will get your reward system. You'll get your safety and security.
Right. I wanna shift gears a little,
Yeah.
because I found this page on your website, and your website is liftoneself.com. And there's a forward slash insight. And so I was just poking around, and
Yeah.
actually the first thing that popped up I loved. So I want to ask you about it. It's a visual that says, when the mind and the heart are in conflict, it's always the liver that suffers.
Yeah. Because
Can
we
you talk
usually
more
drink.
about that? Yeah.
Because we
Hmm.
usually, when we were young, whenever we had big emotions like sadness or anger, most times we were soothed through our mouth. We were given food or we were given a beverage or a soother to be able to soothe in that way. So we didn't get to engage with these emotions without that sensory. So whenever we have some emotions, people can relate to all of a sudden, I'm going to spend, or I'm going to, do other things. A lot of us, you go to drinking or we go to eating. And too much of a sugar consumption has a big impact on our liver and our pancreas.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So when we're not feeling our emotions, that's why the liver's going to suffer, because we're just going to swallow it rather than
Yeah.
feel it and process it.
I mean, I love this perspective, and I absolutely agree with you. I also think it's so interesting that within the tradition of Chinese medicine, the liver is where a lot of emotions live, mainly the anger emotion. And so if you go to a Chinese medicine practitioner and they diagnose some liver congestion, then a lot of times they'll start asking about your anger. Like, what are you
Mhm.
angry about? What are you storing here? And
Yeah,
let's help you process that and emote through that, so that your liver, and then usually downstream of the liver is like a bile sludge, so like a gallbladder issue usually,
yeah,
even when we see that. So
yeah.
yeah.
And it's exactly that. That's why I say befriend anger. We have,
Mhm.
like you said at the beginning, where these negative emotions and we're not taught to interact with it and be able to engage. And it's like, well, anger needs some expression. So even just this weekend, there was somebody and they were like, oh, my knees hurt. And I was like, well, can I rub it? And she's like, yeah. And I touch it. And she's like, how do you know it's that spot? Like, that's where the pain is. I'm like, I'm just using intuition. And then she was like, well, do you have, and then I touched another one. She's like, oh my gosh, like, how do you know it's right there? And I'm like, just rubbing it and feeling it. And then she was like, well, what can I do? And I sat back and I looked at her. I'm like, do you really want to know? She's like, oh, I don't know if I really want to know that. And she's like, okay, I will. I'll lean in. I'm like, you're storing. There's some anger and frustration that you aren't processing. And your body now is like, I can't take any more of this. She's like, that's bang on. I was like, okay, well, with the
Mhm.
anger, what I offer my clients is like yell in a pillow or go into a forest and start yelling, throw some rocks or bang a tree or whatnot. Hug a tree also. Yet give expression to the anger so that the energy can be released from the body and you can start to interact with your authentic feelings. I'm like, even if you have finances, do a smash room, go smash some stuff. And it just needs expression, not analyzing, telling it should be a certain way. And then I saw her yesterday and she's like, I took your advice and I went into the forest and I could finally exhale. And it gave me some space inside my body that I could see things differently and I could relate to myself in a different way. She's like, I know there's still a lot more in there, yet at least it gave me that breath of fresh air that I could take in and blow back out. And I was
Mhm.
like, it's these things. And she's like, well, how long is it going to last? I'm like, well, only you can tell. It's like it's always going to be there. It's recognizing I'm not going to shut you down anymore so that there's these big buildups and then I'm going to come and fix this. It's like, no, I'm going to be proactive of pausing and checking in daily and giving myself a space of expression, of releasing these energies and not intellectualizing that it has to be. It's like, this is part of being human. So allow the body to have some somatic releases and expression.
Yes. Yes. Amen. Oh my goodness, such a good conversation. So tell us, I want to go again. I'm just poking around on your website. I love this page of insights, y'all. You got to go over here, liftoneself.com/insight. There's such good juicy stuff on this page of your website. I love it. So tell us what's the process of getting to work with you? Is there like an intake or um tell us about that.
I do it like, sometimes people just hear me and they book right off of because I have the take action and just book because they hear and
Hmm.
they're like, I just want to work with you. Other times I have a free discovery call so people can just engage and hear what I have to offer and what it looks like. And then once after a session, I can kind of gauge, offer what it looks like. Yet at the end of the day, you are building this. I know a lot of times people will come to me, will tell me what to do and what does it look like? And it's like, no, I'm empowering you to start taking control off how am I going to build this tools? So some people want to deeply engage and really process some things. Other people want to take it slow because they still have to navigate through their real life of
Hmm.
responsibilities and mundane things and relationships or parenting or whatnot. So it's like, okay, let's interact and let's see what is the prescription you're going to give to yourself, because it's the empowerment of understanding how much can I engage with and also see where I might be avoiding too, where I need to be able to face these things, yet I provide a safe space that it's possible and you have the capacity for this.
Hmm.
So those are the ways that I do it. I am in the midst of creating a course content so that we can do it in a group, because I know healing in a group and being able to have witnessing and having that connection helps to have that support. And I'm also in the process of writing my book of the journey of the lesions and what I discovered with the nervous system and giving those insights of, what I traversed. It was not a pleasant journey. And there was a lot of things
Hmm.
of, discovering and messiness, yet I have lived experience. So when people are reading my insights or they speak to me, they're like, where does this come from? Like, how does it just come bang on? And it's so relatable. It's so simplistic. And it's like, well, I've engaged with my lived experience and I wanted to simplify the language so people could feel it from the inside out, not looking from the outside in, and that they
Hmm.
can, have a curiosity with their biology and that they can validate their own experience, where some things they were told that they weren't to be this way or weren't to be that way, or their emotions were inconvenient, or all these things, where they can bring back their empowerment of, oh, I was just never given a space to co-regulate, a space
Mhm.
to better understand myself and use my biology in the best way that I could.
Yeah. Well, beautiful. Congratulations on that work. That's, um, super brave work, I think, because I'm sure you're even learning more and more about yourself through that journey too of
Yeah,
of
all the
putting all
time.
the information yeah. So, I totally give props to you for that. And then, y'all too, I just want to also point out that she has an entire meditation page also on her website. And so there's, I'm just scrolling here. There's lots of meditations. They're anywhere from like 11 minutes to 30 minutes long, but most of them look like they're like 18 to 20, which is, I think, like the perfect container. You can even do that on a quick break from work. If some of us are still in that dynamic of, your 2:15s and 30 in your workplace.
Exactly.
So I love that. And yeah, so what else? Is there anything else? How do you want to wrap up today? What is the message that you want to end with?
Well, also for your listeners, I have a 10-minute meditation that I created. So if they go to liftoneself.com/gift, GIFT, they'll opt in and then they'll get this 10-minute meditation. And I do some deep belly breaths so that they can come into the body, because, a lot of times why people find it challenging to meditate is because they were harmed in stillness or harmed in their body. So to come back into that, it feels like a visceral threat. So doing those deep belly breaths allows that energy and sensations to move around and have an openness so that you can ride the waves of regulating your nervous system. What I want to leave the listeners is, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. I know the world tells you you're not, and that you need to achieve and get somewhere, yet you are exactly where you are supposed to be. And to please remember to be kind to yourself, that you matter. And the journey of healing is a continuous one. And at the beginning, it may feel daunting, it may feel heavy, yet at a certain point, then you shift your perception of, oh, actually, this is the medicine that I need to feel tethered to my joy and feel alive and feel more depth, not just being superficial in my life. So that kindness to yourself is needed to be able to still stay in connection with yourself when you're going through the challenges and the rough waves.
Absolutely. And, again, like give yourself credit. You wouldn't be even doing this work or thinking about it if you didn't love yourself and want something, better and more balanced and more in tune, and tapped in. So give yourself props and credit for that too. Like just start with the little things and the little steps, because that's where everything starts, like very few journeys involve like really big leaps, especially right off the bat. Most of the time it's small steps here, small steps there, maybe every now and then one big leap, but
Yeah, and I created Lift OneSelf also because what I went through, I wouldn't want anybody to have to hit that rock bottom. Yet, like I said, pain is needed for some. I was just stubborn and kicking and not willing to, face certain things. Yet I wanted to alchemize and give the Coles notes to people. So rather than being reactive to something, that you could respond and shift something for yourself. And what I know to be true is, we want the world to change, but change only happens within us. So if I could offer a space for people to go within their own portal, within their body, that begins the change, and that they can interact with themselves with a gentleness and radical compassion, and recognize that you're always beginning again. Every day is a new canvas that you get to paint on. And I understand that sometimes we've been told to really place blame and guilt and punishment rather than looking at the learning lessons and having some compassion and listening to the context of, why did you take these actions and what is the underpinning of it. So I love what
Mhm.
you just expressed of, be gentle and soft with yourself. And
Yeah.
always remember, when you're activated, it's just black and white. It's opening up that space of where's the context, and the context will have those emotions to feel, to see all of the different perspectives that you may not have allowed yourself. You just are narrowing on one thing to try to get rid of it, where it's like, no, it's just have acceptance and integrate.
Mhm.
You're not trying to get rid
Mhm.
of anything. You're always just integrating and letting go.
Yes. Beautiful. I love it. So it's liftoneself.com.
Yes. I
And
also have a podcast. It's called
yes,
Lift
yes, I
One.
was just about to ask you. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
sorry, say it again so I'm not talking over you.
I also have a podcast. It's called Lift OneSelf. And that page of insights that you just saw, I have that on my social media, because I came off of social media for a year or two when I was going through my healing journey. And I wanted to come back on, and my intention was I wanted to lift the vibration and really bring a space of true healing of the messiness, and go into the directness of taking accountability, but not accountability of chastising yourself. Accountability of understanding, oh, this is all in a sense of protection. So let me better understand and create that safety within myself and within my body.
Yes. Well, beautiful. And thank you so much for all the work that you're doing in the world. The fact that we found each other and, we're providing this platform for more healing. I love it. I love finding and, working with other practitioners too, to just expand the light on the planet and to really help people understand that this world and this life and this planet is not about perfection, but it is about like choosing, better in that next opportunity. And every moment, like you said earlier, is a new opportunity. So thank you so much. Everybody check out at Lift Oneself on social media and liftoneself.com. And Natalie, thank you again. And yeah, so thank you. Uh, and
It's
we'll
been
see
a
you guys on
pleasure.
the next
Thank you.
episode. Yeah, thank you.